is a regular meeting of the Township of Union Board of Education for October 18th, 2022. Mrs. Capiello, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brins-Watson.
Present.
Dr. Francis.
Present.
Ms. McKenzie.
Here.
Mrs. Manisi. Here. Mr. O'Shea. Here. Mrs. Regis Darby. Ms. Santana.
Here.
Mrs. Scott Heaton.
Here.
Mrs. Williams.
Here. I'm not sure who's doing that.
Yes, it's you.
Watson, please, lead us in.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Open Public Meetings Act. Statement, please.
Good evening. The Open Public Meeting Act, the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend meetings of the public body at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Union Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof published in the Star Ledger and Union County local sources, posted in the administrative building of 2369 Morris Avenue, Union, New Jersey, filed with the Township Clerk, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. During the course of the board meeting, the Board of Education offers members of the public an opportunity to address issues regarding the Union Township Public Schools. The board reminds those individuals to identify themselves by name and address. The first public comment period is for items on the agenda. The second public comment period is on any issue. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes respectfully. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks all members of the public to be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Comments regarding students and employees of the board will not be responded to by the board. Madam President.
Thank you very much. Ms. Brins-Watson, would you read the mission statement, please?
The mission of the Township of Union Public Schools is to build on the foundation of honesty, excellence, integrity, strong family, and community partnerships. We promote a supportive learning environment where every student is challenged, inspired, empowered, and respected as diverse learners. Through cultivation of students' intellectual curiosity, skills, and knowledge, our students can achieve academically and socially and contribute as responsible and productive citizens of our global community.
Thank you. At this time, we do need to go into executive session. Council, if you would.
That's correct, Madam President. The board needs to go into executive session for a confidential student matter, and we'll return thereafter, and action may be taken when the board returns.
May I have a motion to go into executive?
Motion.
Second. Okay, so it's motion by Ms. Santana, seconded by Ms. McKenzie. Mrs. Capiello, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brins-Watson.
Yes.
Dr. Francis.
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie.
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi.
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea.
Yes.
Ms. Santana.
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heaton.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
So we're going all the way to that.
Yeah, because it's not something that we. Yeah, so we are back in public session, and at this time, can you hear me now? Okay. So, at this point of the meeting, we have comments from the public on resolutions only. So if you have any questions on any resolutions that are on the agenda, please come up and speak. Thank you. Okay. Seeing none, we have the approval of the minutes. Yeah.
Pay attention.
Yes, pay attention.
Yeah, turn around. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's on.
Presenting a list of unpaid, non-negotiated clubs on P7A, where building administrators do whatever they want with disregard for collective bargaining agreement, is simply disrespectful to everyone involved. The education profession is not a charitable one. I know because I do lots of voluntary, unpaid casual work outside of school. On P7A, I want to mention two things specifically. First, the UHS Esports Club. Let's do our due diligence because on P1B404, there's already a stipend of $3,000 for each sport. So let's just take this one off the list. And S17 prep. Why should that even be a club? For years, it was an elective class at Union High School. If it's not going to be a class available to everyone, then let's use title funds to provide it to our children after school and/or on Saturdays. UTA for many years has asked the COE for a process to annually review the clubs, so let's promise each other to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Chen. Anyone else? Mrs. Cappiello will have the approval of the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for August 23rd, 2022, regular meeting, executive session 1, and executive session 2.
Have a second, please? Second. Moved by Mrs. Manisi, seconded by Ms. Scott Hayden. Mrs. Cappiello, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby?
Yes.
Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Hayden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes. We have the communications that will be addressed in personnel, so we're going to move to our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. It is my pleasure to introduce the principal of the Washington Elementary School, Mr. Matthews, who is going to, in turn, talk about a very, very strong family that's in our midst tonight, the Dudek family. So, Mr. Matthews, you can take the mic and please talk about the students you're spotlighting tonight. It should be, yeah.
Good evening.
No.
Hello?
No.
Check, check.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor, Mr. Benequista, Dr. Perez, board members, and to the TUPS learning community at large. Good evening. It was not difficult at all selecting students for this month's Superintendent Student Spotlight. The Student Spotlight features students who deserve to be recognized for something out of the ordinary or for anything that might not otherwise be recognized in the school setting. Tonight, the Student Spotlight is shining very brightly indeed on twin sisters who attend Washington Elementary School. These sisters are resilient, optimistic, and incredibly inspiring. Everyone experiences struggles in life, and we all need help and support at some time. The love and support that these two sisters give each other is incredibly endearing. Despite going through a very difficult struggle with brain cancer, Cameron Dudek remains optimistic and happy. Cameron's sister, Ryan Dudek, remains also optimistic and happy and is very supportive and very loving of her sister. These girls remind us what is truly important in life, like laughing, spending time with family and friends, and being kind. We all know how resilient children can be. Cameron and Ryan Dudek are extremely resilient. They refuse to allow an illness to dictate the tone of their lives. Cameron and Ryan insist on seeing the world in a positive light. I, for one, become so inspired when I see anyone, much less a 7-year-old sisters, who refuse to let an obstacle, even an obstacle like cancer, to bring them down. Cameron, you are brave and beautiful. Ryan, you are kind and compassionate. Together, you are showing the world how beautiful life is, even when, maybe especially when, life becomes really hard. Thank you for being such great role models for all of us. Thank you for teaching us how to live and love life. Thank you for reminding us what is truly important. Thank you for being kind and happy despite your circumstances. I hope to be just like you when I grow up. I would like to end with a very important reminder. The district will be running a dress down for Cameron for the remainder of this week. There will be another fundraiser for Cameron on Sunday, October 23rd at the Union Elks from 1 to 4 p.m. Please keep these beautiful girls and their beautiful family in mind when you make a donation. Everyone join me in congratulating Cameron and Ryan for earning Student Spotlight. With the whole Dudek family, please join us up here.
Well, there's not a dry eye in the house right now. I have to just also thank Mr. Matthews and those teachers who I'd like to have come up. Please, if you're here to support the Dudek family, come on up. And thank them for being so nurturing and supportive. Washington is a special school community. We're going to take a picture, and then I want to give you something, okay, guys? At this time, anybody who was here for the Judek family is welcome to step out. We're going to continue with our meeting, but we will not be offended at all if you decide to walk out. I would like to continue my report by providing a state of the schools to all. Every Friday, I have been sending the board a report, and in the report this year, what I do is I list the lows, the high points of a week, and the grows, the low points or the challenges that we're experiencing. So I'd like to share one of the most current challenges we're experiencing with the board, again, and also the community, but also provide some hope to everyone thanks to the board's push and support that we're going to be able to overcome this challenge. We've done a strong job of filling our teacher vacancies, but one thing we need to work harder at doing is filling our paraprofessional vacancies. Our support staff are among the most important cogs in the whole school district wheel. I spent a lot of time in schools, particularly at Battle Hill, where almost 40% of our student population has an IEP. And I have seen firsthand and heard firsthand just how difficult. I think I'll lose battery.
Okay, here.
Hang on. Note to self, replace batteries before board meeting.
Believe it or not.
All right, I got green. So I've been making my rounds, especially at Battle Hill. I've been seeing and hearing, experiencing all the challenges we're confronting because some of our classrooms, particularly those classrooms that had maybe 8 or 9 students in what we call a self-contained setting, need 3, 4, 5 paraprofessionals or teacher assistants. And right now, we're only providing 1, 2, sometimes behavior technicians because we are dealing with a crisis. And we're not the only ones dealing with the crisis, but I'm most concerned about us right now. So I want to point out that there are 2 things we are doing as a Board of Education and Administration to resolve this challenge. First of all, I've directed the Personnel Department to plan and then hold a recruitment fair for paraprofessionals to come to the district on November 19th. It'll be held for about 3 to 4 hours on a Saturday. Much more information will be coming out as soon as possible. I anticipate we'll reach out to Kean University, UCC, try to find those people who, including students who have 60 credits or more at the college level, come out and apply for a position. Of course, we'll also be accepting applications for teaching vacancies. The next thing we're going to be doing is really a push by this board to focus on taking back the para positions from ESS, the company we use to outsource our paraprofessionals, and start to hire the paraprofessionals on our own. So the paras who we will be hiring, in fact, there are 2 individuals on the board agenda tonight, will be district employees. They'll not be ESS employees. I've already contacted ESS. This is not going to surprise them. They recognize that their fill rate is not to standard, and so we are going to be taking back those paras, and I'm sure there'll be members of the board who will be commenting on that when we talk about the personnel agenda. Despite the grow, we are glowing. We are already making progress towards excellence and being recognized as a high-performing district, which is just one step in the right direction. The next step is the most recent niche.com rankings. Niche.com is becoming a very popular ranking site used by all kinds of people who are thinking about coming to the town. In fact, sometimes I get calls from parents from outside of our district who are thinking of moving in, and they ask me questions about our niche ranking. Our district is currently a B grade. Of course, we're looking to go A. But I am very pleased to report that our district did increase in the rankings in all 3 areas of the best district category: county, state, and region. The New York City region, of course, is Connecticut, New York City, the lower New York and New Jersey area. Our high school has also gone up in the rankings, 12 spots in the state and 87 spots in the New York City region. And this is a collective effort. It's a community thing. It's not just an administration or a faculty thing. It's a Board of Education thing. It's a union community thing. I think part of what goes into all this is the relationship that the board and the administration now has with the township. And we're doing things that we'll be highlighting in a couple of months, like partnering with the township on evaluating our security and safety protocols, and what you'll soon find out, bringing in a public relations firm to help us get the word out about our journey to excellence. Speaking of the journey to excellence, it's all tied into the strategic plan. I do want to give you a very brief update on the plan because progress has been made since September when I last reported on the plan. The first goal, which is focused on academic growth, has already seen another action in progress. I'm going to talk about that action in a minute. That we are now taking steps to implement the 4 actions for the second goal, which has to do with community partnerships. Dave Arminio was a big part of that back in February when the stakeholders got together to develop these activities. And I anticipate, being that he's very involved in the Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club, Historical Society, we'll be working with him a lot in that area. We still are making progress with our equity goals. We haven't added any action steps to the list of those completed or in progress, though we have in the last goal area, that is the one that's focused on social and emotional wellness and other whole child initiatives. We've now added another action in progress to the list. Let me just very briefly highlight those things that we are now putting in the in progress category of our strategic plan. Regarding academic excellence, I'm really excited to point out that Isabella Scacosa, our Director of Grants and Special Projects, is facilitating the development of a handbook that we're going to be giving to all of our students next year to encourage them, particularly at the high school level, to engage more in mentorship and internship experiences. The senior year allows for time to do this, and my vision, and it'll take some time, would be to make it a requirement for the majority of our students to take part in some kind of internship or mentorship program, just as we do with the requirement that they acquire certain community service hours. The community partnership action that we're currently in progress of putting together and implementing is also coming out of Ms. Kakosa's office, because we anticipate we'll be using federal funds to fund a stipend position per the Personnel Committee and the board's approval once I describe what this position will look like. For this person to serve as a community liaison, somebody who speaks multiple languages and can help members of our community who are disenfranchised, don't know enough about their rights, things that the school district can offer, more about that information, and then connect folks in the community who need an extra hand to people here in the district, counselors, our food services coordinator, who's also in charge of free and reduced lunch applications, so that the partnership can help those folks who are disenfranchised and don't have the same opportunities that others do to know more about how they can get school support, school district support. I got to circle back to the equity goal, because this has been probably the one goal that has been most emphasized in at least the last month and a half. What you see here is a picture, for instance, of last Friday's professional development work for about a half a day with the leadership team. That's Elizabeth Riley-Williams on the right and Tammy Borman on the left. They are the consultants who were introduced to all of us by video last meeting. They led us on a journey through the development of Brave Space. What they're doing is they're trying to prepare us as a leadership team to talk honestly and openly and directly and nicely, constructively about privilege, what we believe our hidden biases may be, and how some of those hidden biases may be leading us to microaggressions against our students, our peers. So this whole brave space conversation was really a starter just to make sure that we can come together and feel like we're in a good place to talk openly about those important things that'll lead to equity. I do, in just a second, want to show you a brief video of the consultant who has been working with our staff, and particularly those at Franklin. That's Samantha Pugh. Samantha will be moving around from school to school to talk about the same things that the leadership team will be talking about. Privilege and a hidden bias and microaggression, all in the name of trying to foster equity. By the way, not just equity as it regards race or ethnicity, but also disability, about religion, culture outside of ethnicity and race. I do want to show you a brief video of Samantha. She introduces herself here for about 3 minutes.
Consultant and coach for Franklin, and also supporting the district as well. I am, what do you need to know about me? I've been in education. October 16th will make 24 years. I've been a principal, I've been a chief academic officer, I have been a teacher, and I'm super excited to be working here and working with this wonderful team. So that's me, Samantha Powell. You can reach me at Samantha Powell or SQ 628.
I will be uploading my presentation to the website. That'll include the video, so if you want to hear it better, you can. I'm strongly considering inviting our consultants, at least for one board meeting, so they could all just say hello to you personally. Next board meeting, I will, though, present a video of Dr. Edward Fergus. He's the third consultant with whom we're working. And just wrapping things up about the strategic plan, I do want to touch on something else that Ms. Kokoza is working on, and that is an action step in the fourth goal, under the fourth goal umbrella, that has to do with creating a mentoring program. This is something, again, that came out of the stakeholder work we did back in February. I think it was parents and teachers were involved in this particular action step. Those folks who worked on this in February were envisioning that we create what they're calling an interscholastic mentorship program. In other words, having young students mentored by older students. So fortunately, Ms. Kokoza, who previously worked in Linden as the grants director, created a program called My Brother's Keeper. However, she worked with mentors from outside the district, adults mostly, to work with high school students and middle school students. Keeping with the theme that the people who made this action step had in mind, I directed Ms. Kokoza to focus our efforts internally, so we have high school students, maybe even middle school students working with the lower grade students, and we're going to call it My Farmer's Keeper instead of My Brother's Keeper, which I thought was a nice idea. Not only will my presentation be up on the website, but I strongly encourage anybody watching or here in the room to go to the district's website, go to the About link, which is at the top on the left, and then scroll down to Strategic Plan. I put a document up there, which I'll upload new documents every time we do update the plan. But I put a document up there dated October 4th that'll show you all the progress we're making, or not, when it regards the action steps. And finally, as is required, I just want to report to the board that we did have 9 harassment, intimidation, and bullying cases since I last met with the board on September 20th. 4 were founded, 5 were not founded. Are there any questions from the board about anything I just shared? Or comments? Ms. Santana? Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I'll let everybody go first. So first, what I wanted to say is thank you for our paras. But what I will say, and I will echo and I will scream, it's not enough. Never should our paras have left home. They should never have gone to ESS, and I will fight tooth and nail to bring them back. Again and again and again. It is not enough. It was a dark day, the day that I sat in that audience, and it was passed for them to go to ESS, and I'm here to make it right over and over and over again. So that's what I can say about the paras. Thank you for what you're doing. It doesn't go, it's not blinded, but it's not enough. Honestly, truth be told, I want our substitutes, not in ESS. It should always go through the district, because when all is said and done, we hold them accountable. When they go through these temp agencies, they could just be filtered out from district to district to district. When they're home, you're held accountable to you, to us, to everybody here. That's first and foremost. And secondly, I did say it again, but I have to say it. First, I want to say I'm a Samantha Pugh fan. I've spoken to her. I love it. But I'm really an advocate and a proponent of real energy, right? This, you can only get here, right? You can only get it here. I want to get them here. Any of our vendors, I can go on YouTube and see them. I want them here. I want them in my eyes and in my face. That's what I would like. And other than that, thank you.
Ms. Santana, I don't know if you're aware, but we are working on bringing back at least 20 of our paras this year from ESS. So we're trying to phase it in, because paras are important. I had a special needs child. He had a para from 5th grade until his junior year in high school. So I get it, and they should be home. I absolutely agree with you that they should be home, and we are trying to bring them back from ESS as full-time employees.
Thank you.
Ms. Scott, moving to our Education Student Discipline Committee.
Good evening. Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Education Student Discipline Committee presents the following resolution for the board's consideration. E1, agenda item was reported at the October 11th, 2022 work session, which was the Superintendent's report of HIB September 21st through October 11th of 2022. E1A, affirmed the Superintendent's determination of HIB for the period of September 21st, 2022 to October 11th, 2022 in accordance with the information in the hands of each board member, with the exception of the case discussed in executive session this evening. E11, Superintendent's report of HIB for the period of October 12, 2022 to October 18, 2022 in accordance with the information in the hands of each board member. No vote is required. E2, approve updated school calendar for the 2022-2023 school year in accordance with the information in the hands of each board member. E3, approve school nursing services plan for the 2022-2023 nursing service plan in accordance with the information in the hands of each board member. E4 is to approve the agreement for Union College for the Union High School students to be able to take college credits for the 2022-23 school year in accordance with the information at the hands of each board member. E5, approve the agreement for Union College for students to be admitted as college readiness now dual enrollment students at Union College in accordance with the information in the hands of each board member. And E6, proclaim October as International Alpha Delta Kappa Month for October 22nd in accordance with the information in the hands of each board member. E7's item has been moved to the fiscal part of the agenda. In E8, the agenda item was affirmed at the October 11, 2022 work session, where we affirmed the report of the HIB per the executive session.
Moved by Ms. Hayden. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Denisi. Any discussion? If there is no discussion, I would like to move them as a group.
As we're moving forward, can we just pass it as a group?
I just
That's
said
what
that.
she just
We're
said.
passing it as a group. Yeah. So we're going to be passing as a group E1A through E11 and E6, correct?
Yeah.
Mrs. Capiello, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby? Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes. Mr. O'Shea, please.
Madam President, would you mind if I just, instead of using all 33 individuals, that we just do it as a group, as one, for approval? and
Is
to
there
vote?
anyone that has questions? There may be questions because there's so many.
I have no problem, I'll read them all if that's the case.
Yeah, but you don't have to read them all. Are there any questions?
There's no questions on this side, we're good.
Thank you.
So go ahead, Mr.
Thank you. Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Fiscal and Planning Committee presents the following resolutions for the Board's consideration. F1 through F30B. F31 is already been approved by the Board at the October 11th work session. F32 is for information only. Is there a 33?
Yes.
Oh, God. More new glasses. I apologize, yes. Let's make that F33 also to be approved.
Ms. Regis Darby seconded it. Mrs. Capiello will vote.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby? Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes. Grievance negotiations, please.
Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Grievance Negotiations Committee presents the following resolution for the Board's consideration. G1, approve collective bargaining agreement for the Association of Custodial Maintenance and Transportation Employees for the period of July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2026. And G2, approve collective bargaining agreement, UTEA, for the period of September 1st, 2021 through August 31st, 2025.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Moved by Ms. McKenzie, seconded by Ms. Brins Watson. Any discussion? Mrs. Capiello, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby? Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Capio, Madam President, may I ask a question? I want to ask Mr. Buggy. I said yes to both G1 and G2. Do I need to abstain from G2, teachers?
Yes.
Okay, so can I change
So we have to
my
do
vote?
Yeah, just change your vote to.
Abstain for G2?
It's not
And Ms. Scott Heeden as
It's
well,
not
then.
the-
But
right.
I was told we didn't have to, but okay.
So I just wanted to check on that. Sure, I don't get in trouble.
Change it.
Okay. That's me, okay. Upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Operation Committee presents the following resolutions for the Board's consideration. 01 through 06.
Second. That was me.
If there's no discussion, I just.
Who was our second?
Me.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby? Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes. Personnel, please.
Upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Personnel Committee presents the following resolutions for the Board's consideration. P1A1 through P7A, with the exception of P1B 249 and 250.
Seconded by Ms. Scott Heeden. Any discussion? Any questions?
I would like to say something. It's on P7A, so I know last week I made my little statement, and with a lot of consideration, and speaking to several people, I really would not like the students to miss out on any clubs, so, that are not stipend. So I have a change of heart. I don't want to hurt the students. And I also, for the SAT prep, I had a conversation with Dr. Taylor, and for now, it will be, unpaid, but in January, they're looking into making it an elective during the day for the students. And then going forward, in September 2023, it'll be, the full year, and it'll be something that the students will have available. And he also mentioned about offering SAT prep on Saturdays for students who can't take it during the day. They don't have room for an elective. So I just wanted to put that out there because I know and I want to thank Mr. Benequist. I believe you're the one who pulled all the non-stipends out and made it a separate resolution. So thank you for doing that instead of trying to read through all 400 other stipends. So thank you for that. So I just wanted to, make my statement and let everybody know that, it was brought to our attention, and I just wanted to clarify that I don't want our students or our staff who are willing to volunteer their time to work with our students. But I would also ask that our administrators work with the UTA to kind of combine these things or weed out the clubs that are not relevant, and filter in the ones so that our staff can get paid. Okay. I know that was long-winded. I apologize.
We can do roll call.
So, I'm sorry, sorry.
Sorry.
So I just needed a little further clarification. Ms. Minnie, so P7A are the clubs that people aren't, that the teachers are not being paid for. So I just want to say this, so we have a saying in Spanish, lo barato sale caro. That means that the cheap comes out expensive. So I echo what you just said. So can we commit to looking at these clubs, seeing what is working and what is not working? And I am all for paying our teachers for doing a job, right, if they're doing it. But I hear that if this is the interest that the children have, I don't want them to suffer necessarily, because obviously if they're here, there's an interest for it. But I'm not a fan of being voluntold, or this thought process of, if you're my principal and I'm the teacher and you come and say, hey, Chastity, can you please do this for me? And then I feel kind of obliged because you're my principal. I just don't want that happen. I don't want that to be the precedent here.
Right, so that's why I heard.
That's why you said what you said last week, and I respect that, and I thank you for that, because but for that, this would not have been brought to light. But I want it here said and understood that moving forward, we should be paying our teachers for clubs that are popular, and on our end, as administrators, we should be looking at these clubs and making sure that they are being attended and frequented and wanted, right?
Yeah, right.
Because basket weaving, like I had an Atari. The Atari club is no longer existent, right? What is it now? It's a PlayStation. So we update ourselves with the times. Actually, no, it had a ColecoVision, not Atari. But anyway.
You're telling me right.
Yeah,
So,
that's
but yeah, we are looking into doing an audit, which is something that we discussed last week, to go through the clubs, find out which ones are the most interest, which ones are still active, and then we're working together to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
At the board's direction, last Tuesday night, I did direct the principals of the middle and high schools to provide me that data, and I expect to have it by the end of next week. So I'll share all the enrollment information with the board by then.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
We have to vote.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby? Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden? Mrs. Williams?
Yes. Policy committee, please.
Upon recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the policy committee presents the following policy for the board's consideration. The following policies, regulations are for final reading and adoption. Can I move them all together, or? Yes. So policy 1 through policy 4.
Moved by Ms. Santana. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Watson. Okay. Mrs. Chapter, you have a roll call, please.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby? Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Upon recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the residency committee presents the following resolutions for the board's consideration. R1 through R8, and like I said last week, these are, there are no students here that were not found to be residents through the re-registration at the high school. These are all others. Yes, these are additional. So here we go.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Scott Hayden. Mrs. Capella, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby? Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes. Are there any reports from the technology?
No.
No updates, okay. With that, may I have a motion to approve our bill?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Brins Watson, can I have a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. McKenzie. Mrs. Capella, roll call, please.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby? Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes. Unfinished business. Anyone have any unfinished business that they would like to discuss? Okay. Any new business? Ms. Regis Darby.
I just want to say, sincere condolences to Emmanuel's family. Emmanuel passed away a couple of days. He was a student here at Union. He was loved by many of the students here. Many of the teachers really acknowledged and knew that he was a good kid. So I want to make sure that his family know that I want to send my condolences out to his family because right now they're going through a really, really hard time. And the kids had a visual theater a couple of days ago, and so many kids turned out for him and to celebrate his family and let his family know that they are with him and they are with their family. So I just want to thank those kids who came out to celebrate his life because it was important. He was one of our students and he mattered. Also, I think Dr. Taylor mentioned bringing MSK and MBK and trying to change the name to Farmers MSK and MBK. That would be a real disservice to that program and the work that they're doing in Albany. So if that program ever comes to the school, I suggest that you always keep it as MSK and MBK.
Anyone else? I just wanted to also offer condolences to Manny's family. He was a friend of my son's. He's been to my home and he's eaten at my table. And I can't even imagine what his mother is going through right now, having a son the same age as hers, and him being such a good kid. He was such a good kid. I can say because I saw him and I met him and he hung out with my son, and anybody that knows my son knows he is not easy to love. I mean, there's teachers in here, there are paras. He is not easy to love, and to have someone to make that connection and be such a good kid and to have his life cut so short by nonsense, it's just awful. So condolences to his mom, to his family. I'm so sorry that you're going through this.
And very disappointed, very disappointed that the district didn't even send anything out to the community. The community is grieving. These kids are hurt by this loss. And this was a member of our community. And I was really livid, and I'm still upset. You know, that this community, that we say we love our kids, we believe in our kids, we believe in fairness, we believe in equity, we lost a member. This is a kid from our school. The kids had to show up on that football field. Come on, people, do better here. Do better.
Well, in defense of the district, though, the media presented him as a man from Irvington. So I don't think it was that people didn't want to be there for his family and show their love for him, but our kids were there. Our kids were there. And still, people are hurting. People are hurting. The community is grieving because he was ours for 3 years before he was an Irvington person. So he's always going to be Union. So, are there any other new business? Ms. Santana?
Thank you so much. My condolences to the young man. What I would like to say for our district this past, oh my God, I don't even remember what day it was, but Ann Margaret Shannon invited me out to the 4th grade Hannah celebration for all the little young ladies playing basketball. And all I can say is I had so much fun. It was great. I invite us all, if we can, to go out, I guess, and sit on opposite sides so that, we don't have a quorum. It's, I believe, where is she here, Ann Margaret? What is it, this Friday, next Friday, the next Friday, this Friday, next Friday. I think that every elementary school is going against every other elementary school. It was all skill levels. You had very advanced girls. You have girls that were kind of just fighting over the ball, and it was fun, fun, fun. What I wanted to say, but I don't know if this is good or bad, Ann Margaret, keep me honest here, is at one point, there were so many parents trying to get in to watch their little girls that it was jam-packed. They had to stand outside and look over into the gym. So I don't know if we can by any means get them a bigger arena so that the parents can go and see their kids. I was kind of even feeling bad that I was taking up a seat, but I was selfish and I stayed, I'm not gonna lie. Tell your friends, support our girls. I think this is where it all begins, where they start just learning the fundamentals. I was never an athlete myself, but I think I saw many little girls that weren't athletes, but they were out there trying and smiling, having fun. One little girl literally just took it and threw it, and she made it. The whole place erupted over and over. Once again, I think that as a board, we do love our children wholeheartedly and go out and support. Another thing that I did want to just mention now that we are here in executive session is I invite every single parent, I don't care if you make $1 or $13 million, please fill out the free lunch application, free and reduced lunch application. Get out there, whatever school, the 10 schools you attend, just fill it out. You never know. Right now, the COVID is over, so it's no longer free lunch. It's getting back to being charged, and we don't want to go back to where we were with, I think I have nightmares over the number deficit that we had. The only way that we can fix it is by spreading the word. Tell your friends, just fill out the application. If you're that rich and you get denied, congratulations. If you don't get denied and your kid gets free and reduced lunch, congratulations. Either way, it's a win-win for the parents, it's a win-win for the kids. And also, if you do get the free and reduced, it comes with different type of perks. I invite you to call the district for it. I believe that you can also qualify for like a hotspot. And then if you have any, what is it, say it again? A waiver for college applications. Thank you, Miss Nellis Darby. And also, if you have kids like mine, they break the screens to their Chromebooks like record amounts. So you get charged for that replacement. It's lower if you have the free and reduced lunch. Once again, if you know, tell everybody, tell your friends. So those are my two things. Go watch the kids play basketball. It was so much fun. You were there, right? We talked, we said hello. Yeah, so no, really, go out. It's so much fun, and fill out an application.
Any other new
Thank you.
business? Okay, seeing none, we are comments from the public. So I ask that you state your name, your address, and adhere to the 3 minutes time.
Hi, my name is Bonnie Diaz. I live on Lorraine Avenue. I am here to bring up the fact that we have a constant bus delay at the high school almost every single day, and it's the same 2 buses. I would like to know what the action plan is to rectify this, and saying that there is a bus driver shortage is not an adequate answer for the fact that anybody who works in transportation knew that this day was coming upon when the FMCSA made the rule change in February 7th of 2022. Everyone who works in the transportation department or industry knew about this in July of 2021. The reason why I know that is because I am a director of transportation.
Clarification question. Could you give us the two buses that you're talking about?
72 and 49.
Mr. Bettequist is taking notes. We'll follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Any other comments from the public?
Good evening. My name is Dr. Kalisha Morgan, Coolidge Avenue. I am here to discuss the equity consultant and the district strategic plan. I am very excited that the Board of Education voted to hire equity consultants to work with district teachers and that the district strategic plan has an equity goal. Thank you. However, I am disappointed that it took this long. I stressed the importance of equitable practice when I ran for a seat on the Board of Education in 2018 and when I became a member, often to the disdain of fellow board members. 2 years ago, a group of concerned parents, 4 of who happened to be board members, drafted a letter calling for action following the murder of George Floyd. While many thought we were out of line for saying that more needs to be done, I was disappointed that 4 sitting board members were hit with ethics charges. I am a 28-year educator, 17 years as an administrator, and I have never in so much has ever been hit with something as less as a grievance. I've never had that. I was disappointed and I'm hurt. So this recent vote on the equity consultant and the implementation of the district strategic plan makes me pause to ask the question, did you have a problem with the message or the messenger? This district spent $44,777.29 fighting ethics charges for 4 board members over the past 2 years. These were board members who challenged the status quo, asked questions, and commented on topics like reading. These ethics charges were unfounded and ultimately dismissed. So let's discuss the wasteful spending of $44,777.29. I'm happy that paras are now being brought back to the district, but $44,777.29 can cover the salary of a paraprofessional. It can also cover professional development in reading because, as I stated, programs don't teach reading, teachers do. $44,777 can cover many things in the school district. However, using this amount of money to defend sitting board members against frivolous ethics charges filed by other board members and their friends is a disgrace. What troubles me about this the most is that the legal bills in this district continue to grow and nothing is done about it. And as a taxpayer, this is concerning. It is the board's responsibility to be good stewards of taxpayer money. As Board of Education leadership, do your part and stop filing bogus ethics charges against board colleagues and tell your friends to stop using ghostwriters to file frivolous ethics charges. Because each time you do this, it costs the district money.
Thank you for your comments, Dr. Morgan.
To the Board of Education leadership and UTEA leadership,
Thank you for your comments, Dr. Morgan.
Dr. Morgan, your time's up. Thank you.
Any other members of the public wish to speak?
Ann Margaret Shannon, 2591 Spruce Street, Union, UTA President. The mic's working now?
Yes.
So I believe everyone noticed Dr. Taylor got new batteries, so I'm gonna ask if I can repeat my opening statements because people Facebooked me and said they didn't hear what I said. But before you decide on that, I'll keep going. I want to thank you for the comments on the SAT prep classes. I look forward to bringing the SAT classes back. Regarding our beloved paras, I thank Ms. Santana for her earlier statement and everyone who does support the paras. The comment that we're going to bring 20 back this year, although appreciated, is not enough. There are 51 vacancies, so we need 51 paras. We need them now. Last June, the UTA and the BOE signed a memorandum of agreement to get rid of ESS. This is not something new. This was decided last spring, and to bring back all the paras. And it is just mind-boggling to me that it didn't happen in September. I know it wasn't a lot of time, but June, July, August, we could have done something. Never did the UTA think this would take years to accomplish. Please try to hire 51 paras now. And thank you, Ms. Santana, for the comments about the basketball. I don't think anyone was more excited than I was, but I was nervous. There had to be 150 people in that gym. It had to be breaking fire laws. So I did speak to Mr. Zezer. We're going to see if we can go to Kwame or something like that, but it was amazing, the outpouring from the public to support our students. I have a woman, a young teacher who doesn't know anything about basketball, but I didn't have a coach for one school. She volunteered. She went on YouTube. She learned about basketball. One girl, the first basket, the coach ran out onto the court and high-fived the girl. I'm like, Michelle, you can't go out there. But anyway, it was really awesome. And I really would like to read my opening comments because the mic was obviously not on. But the mic wasn't on. Okay, I want to speak to P7A. The UTA is an organization that promotes working conditions of its members, and we do this with the goal of helping children. The happier we are, the happier the students are. Having a list of unpaid, non-negotiated clubs where administrators do whatever they want, it disregards our collective bargaining agreement. It's just disrespectful to everyone. The education profession is not a charitable one. I know this because I do lots of unpaid charitable work outside of school. I want to mention that one of them should not even been on the list because we have, right in the room back there, we have an e-sport, and there's a stipend of $3,000, so that person shouldn't even have been on the list. And then I did already mention that the SAT prep, we had those as classes, so I don't know why we don't have it anymore, but it sounds like we are going to have them. And I think that I just speeded that up. I really want to say I do want to work with the board to get an annual review of all the clubs so this doesn't happen anymore. Thank you. That's because I'm an athlete.
Okay, she heard me.
Good evening. Rich Devanzo, UTA Vice President. Just to piggyback on Ann Margaret and about the clubs. So previously in negotiations, we discussed at length, going back for 2 years before we got the 1-year settlement, about the issue with the clubs. It's been going on for a number of years. We offered to review it every May when circumstances like this would arise. So there's different interest. The administrators of each building are supposed to keep track of the attendance of the clubs. Obviously, the teachers, staff members that are running these clubs keep a running tab on attendance, and then it would be looked at. So here we are. Now we want to just roll out and get everyone to do it free, and there goes back to the old saying, oh, you do it free this year and you'll get paid the following year. But according to the contract, that cannot happen. So hopefully we could figure something out, but we stressed this, and this was an issue for a number of years. Previous board members that were on there have heard about it, and now, we're basically, you're offering teachers to do, and staff members to do these clubs for free and thinking that they're going to get paid next year, and I'm sure that was probably hinted to them, and it's not fair. If we did a yearly review, and then you would find the clubs that students have interest in, and other ones would fall by the wayside. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Devanzo. Anyone else like to speak? We need to make a motion to go into executive session.
That's correct. The board needs to go into executive session to discuss ongoing litigation, and action may be taken when the board returns to public session.
Yeah.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
Mrs. Benusi? Yes. Mr. O'Shea?
Yes.
Mrs. Regis Darby? Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Excuse me, can we go back in that other room? Where's
Yeah, it was warm. The one that.
Yeah, I want the warm.
One that.
That ain't even do no good.
That's
Right
right
through my-
now.
I get it.
I'll see if I can have Yolanda just be able to get into it.
Oh, yeah, I'm not doing it. Because that's too complicated. I don't like to
We do Yolanda, because I'm,
I
and I'm usually never cold. Here's Nancy.
Nancy, we waiting for you.
No, we need Yolanda.
What the fuck?
She's not here.
Literally, he just called my phone. I was hanging. I had to look at the phone.
This thing is running my sweater.
All right.
The Velcro. Is there mouse?
Why are you calling me?
We have Mickey in this house?
Jesus Christ.
Waiting on Yolanda.
So you get some extra kids. I'm trying to get my
Oh my God, I was totally schooling somebody on top of Gigi. And they're like, wow, you're crazy. I'm like,
can't believe I'm looking
so
at it.
cute. It's big. I had it like this. I bought one for my kid.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Love it.
He was at Jackson, right? No, yeah, okay, yes. I'm thinking hourly. Okay, yes, okay. I'm thinking hourly, but yes, yeah.
What can I say?
Sorry, Kevin.
It's a good idea.
Eric, him too.
Both of them come.
Oh, okay, good. Eric's behind Kevin, or Kevin's behind Eric.
On our last leg, that's what I was saying.
Girl,
Yolanda. Line for a while.
Sounds good. Is Christmas a deadline? Is that when it gets?
John?
that's why I was pushing. Like, we gotta get this done so we can get their money for Christmas.
Yes, thank
If I
you.
can speak to him, I'm not calling him back.
Okay, we ready?
Again?
They're not sitting because they're cold.
I know, I am too. That's why I'm trying to give y'all. Yeah, we have 7 minutes.
What are we waiting for?
Are you gonna make the motion or?
No.
We got 7 minutes.
Yeah.
He's writing it.
Oh, yeah, ready for me?
Or do you finish writing?
Slide. Okay.
The
Up.
resolution.
Are we back in?
Yes.
No.
No, I said we got 7 minutes.
No, we haven't moved back in.
That's where we need a motion
Comments
to go
went
back
from 3 to
into.
7.
In general, yeah.
Exactly.
Comments went from 3
We're
to
back
7.
in, but we need a motion to.
A motion, make a motion to go back.
Motion. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, that he provide full-time release to employee number 8843, Mr. James Frazier, to become full-time release to be president of the Union County Education Association, also known as the UCEA. I need a motion and a second.
TBD.
Ms.
Any
Brenda
questions?
Watson, yeah, moved it, and who was my second?
Second.
Ms. McKenzie.
Yes.
And TBD?
Yes, for 3 years.
And to be determined date?
Okay. Noted.
Say it.
Yeah, we did it all in favor.
We did that.
So we're doing,
The roll call.
amendment.
So, right, so,
Yeah,
We
so we're
amended.
doing the vote to
Amended.
amend. May I have a motion and a second for the amendment?
so move.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Brent Watson, Ms. McKenzie. Now we're going back to vote on the original motion as amended.
Mrs. Brins Watson?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. McKenzie?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. O'Shea? Mrs. Regis Darby? Absolutely yes. Ms. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heaton?
Thank you.
She can't.
She can't vote on it anyway.
She can't, yeah, she's, okay.
She can't vote.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes. And then we need to go back to the original.
Passes.
Okay, is that it?
No, that was the vote on the amendment, correct?
Yeah,
That was the vote to
That's the
approve
whole
it.
thing.
Okay.
That was their vote.
Okay, I just want to make sure because there was the amendment
Yes.
and then there was a walk-on
Yes.
and there was.
Yes.
The whole,
Okay.
the
Scott
whole
Hayden.
guacamole has been approved. With amendments. So moved. Second.
You know what? That's fine with me as long as I'm home to my husband before 10:15.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Good night, Miss.
Good night, Gracie.
Let me know if I can help with that SO situation.
I was looking for you.
Oh, because, that's it.